know 50. 50 don't know me. The drive by us. We don't know who he is, so we looking at the car like, who cuz? He pull off. Like the day, hey, cuz did that. Straight up. I got respect for cuz for that.
I look at
we was far from the shoot. We like on the corner.
We look like
cuz. Yeah, like,
what's up, cuz? He like, what's up?
In the rap game, checking in is serious business. But 50 Cent, he don't play that game. And maybe the LA Crips missed that memo. See, before the fame and flashing lights, 50 wasn't just some regular dude from Queens. He was Boo Boo, a street general. Not just leading a crew, but earning real respect like a boss. He wasn't just about the talk, he had vision.
50 ain't back down. 50 was banging out and I know 50 was whooping him. 50's a big boxing. So I know he was tearing something. And these was like 8'11" of these, you know what I mean?
Hustling with strategy like it was chess, always 10 moves ahead. But let's not get it twisted. The streets ain't a fair fight. Every single day was a gamble. One wrong move could have ended it all. Some calls paid off, others, not so much. But if that doesn't show you what kind of beast 50 really is, then you're not paying attention. Here's the wild part. Despite all the street cred, 50 never joined no gang. No Bloods, no Crips. He was surrounded by it, sure, but he always moved solo, made his own rules. That brings us to this whole checking in mess. It's this street code. Some say it's about respect, others say it's straight extortion. When celebs hit cities with heavy gang presence, they're expected to tap in with local shot callers. That might mean dropping cash, doing favors, or giving somebody a spot. Some rappers play along to avoid drama. Others see it as a straight-up shakedown. But 50, he never folded.
Rick, bro, I'ma your life up. For fun. There's a few times. This is not new. I do this all the time.
Never played that game. And trust, there's real reasons for that. Back in the grimy streets of Southside Queens, long before the world knew his name, life was brutal for 50. No fancy house, no rich family, just straight struggle, survival, and scars. Drugs, violence, neglect, that was his world. By 8 years old, he'd already seen more pain than most grown men. His biggest heartbreak? Losing his mother so young, that changed everything. He once told Spin magazine, "After my mom passed, everything that went wrong because she wasn't there."
Man, 50 do more for you than any artist, than anybody does for their artist. More than Jay-Z. Young Guns was right there. Young Guns was right next to me. He was like, Jay-Z don't do what 50 do for you.
If I wanted to go to the park and it started drizzling, it was happening because my mom wasn't there. That's how deep the pain went. Curtis Jackson, young, hurt, and trying to make sense of the loss, found his only escape in his grandparents' basement. He told Oprah that locking himself away was his way of running from the pain because he didn't even know how to talk about it. And like that wasn't enough, Curtis never knew his father. Dude was a ghost, out the picture before Curtis ever had a chance to ask who he was. And get this, 50 never even cared to find out. "I have no interest in it," he once said. With all that pain on his back, it didn't take long for Curtis to link up with the kind of crowd that wasn't playing by the rules. By 12, he already peeped what really made money in his hood, crack. And in his eyes, it wasn't some wild decision. It was survival. He once said, "It don't seem like one of the options, it seems like the only option." But that grind came with heat. By 19, Curtis was locked up twice in 3 weeks. Once for selling coke to an undercover, then again when they caught him with a strap. That wake-up call, loud and clear, if he kept down that path, he wouldn't live to see 21. So Boo Boo switched gears. This time, he wasn't just escaping the streets, he was coming for the throne. He reinvented himself as 50 Cent, a name that meant change, hustle, and straight-up survival. He gathered his closest and created G Unit. Together, they climbed out the gutter.
You better check in, magic, some gangster, Crip. Straight up. Crip. Straight up. Crip.
And into a record deal. But success? That just brought new enemies, new chaos. G Unit had serious highs and serious lows. Tony Yayo ended up in prison. Other members split. And 50? He found himself in beefs that nearly took him out. The wildest? His infamous war with Ja Rule. It all kicked off after 50's boy Troy robbed Ja. Things spiraled fast. 50 even tried to cool it down when they crossed paths in a club. But Ja wasn't buying it. He was sure 50 was in on the setup. Years later, Ja finally admitted the robbery went down, but claimed 50 had nothing to do with it. And that was just the warm-up. Enter Kenneth Supreme McGriff, a notorious drug kingpin turned music mogul. He was now deep in the rap game, rolling with Ja Rule and Murder Inc. But don't get it twisted. Supreme wasn't some background extra. He was a power player, making sure the label's artists stayed protected and untouchable. So when Supreme told 50 to chill out and back off Ja Rule, 50 agreed, out of respect. After all, he once looked up to the man. But come on, this is 50 Cent we're talking about. He couldn't let it slide. He came back throwing jabs on his track Your Life's on the Line, calling Ja out as a studio gangster who needed Supreme just to get his chain back. That slick line, it only poured gas on the fire. This beef was now at full blast. And then came the moment that sent everything off the rails. 50 and Ja were both set to perform at the same club. Tension exploded. A fight broke out. And when the smoke cleared, 50 was holding Ja's chain. And to twist the knife even deeper, he flaunted it in the Your Life's on the Line music video. Ja Rule was humiliated. Word is he ran to Supreme to get his chain back. But instead of returning it, Supreme gave him a watch instead. At that point, Supreme had had enough. 50 was wrecking Ja's image, and Supreme was tired of cleaning up after him. It only got messier. 50 started linking up with guys Supreme had real beef with. E-Money Bags, Big Nose Troy, and Green-Eyed Born. These weren't just street names. These were serious players, and they didn't mess with Supreme. Then 50 dropped Ghetto Quran, a track that spilled way too much tea about the streets and Supreme's past, and let's just say, Supreme wasn't feeling the shout-out. Not long after, someone tried to take Supreme out at a gas station. He survived, but in his mind, 50 was behind it. That was the breaking point. Supreme wanted 50 gone, and he didn't leave it to chance. He allegedly put a hit out, hiring none other than Daryl Homo Baum to do the job. Baum wasn't just a feared name in the streets. He was also Mike Tyson's former bodyguard. Now, if you're wondering who Baum really was, rewind a bit. After Tyson demolished Lou Savarese in the first round, he gave one of his wildest post-fight interviews ever. And he started it off by dedicating the win to his fallen friend, Daryl Homo Baum. Homo wasn't just some dude hanging around Tyson's circle. He was a feared name from Brooklyn's Lafayette Gardens projects. Don't let the limp and 5 feet 7 inches frame fool you. His rep was ironclad. Folks didn't call him Homo because of any wild reason. It came from the streets, where he was known as a teen for dropping people with one punch, then robbing them on the spot. So how does street knockout artist end up protecting Iron Mike? The connection ran deep. Homo and Tyson actually met in juvie, back when they were both wild and reckless. Life sent them in different directions. Tyson became heavyweight champ, while Homo spent most of the 90s locked up for robbery. But when Homo got out on New Year's Eve, 1999, Tyson looked out, gave him a fresh start, cash, a Rolex, a whip, and even a job as his personal bodyguard. Still, Homo wasn't the type to live off favors. Word is, he wanted his own lane, his own money. So not long after his release, he linked up with the Peanut Crew and got tight with Kenneth Supreme McGriff. But by now, Homo was 34, and the streets? Full of young, hungry wolves trying to earn stripes. Still, Homo didn't back down. He made moves quick, pressing local dealers, showing he was still a boss. For a minute, he was even living at Mike Tyson's Connecticut mansion, the same house 50 Cent would later buy. But when 50's beef with Supreme got out of control, things turned deadly. Supreme was done playing games. He allegedly put a hit out on 50, and the trigger man, Homo. May 24th, 2000. 50 was leaving his grandma's house. His son was inside, his grandma standing right out front. As 50 climbed into the back seat, a car pulled up. A shooter walked right up to the window and let off 9 rounds from a 9mm. Bullets hit him in the hand, arm, hip, both legs, chest, and even his left cheek. A few inches higher, and it would have been over. But 50? He survived. 3 weeks in the hospital, multiple surgeries, and somehow he pulled through. That moment, it turned him into a living legend. One of the craziest comeback stories hip-hop has ever seen. 3 years later, 50 dropped Many Men, where he hinted that Homo was the shooter. But by then, Homo was already gone. Not because of 50, but because the streets caught up with him. And when the streets want payback, it's never quiet. Homo was taken out just 3 weeks after the hit on 50. But get this, it had nothing to do with that shooting. Just bad timing in a bloody turf war. At the time, Homo was still tied to the Peanut Crew, run by Ivory Peanut Davis and James Jr. Hamilton. The smoke all traced back to a street war that kicked off in June 1999. It started when Myron Wise Hardy got killed in Brooklyn's Lafayette Gardens projects. Myron was part of the Cash Money Brothers, CMB, a crew known for running the crack game in Bed-Stuy. His brother, Damian World Hardy, was locked up when it went down. But when he heard the news, he wanted revenge on everyone connected to the Peanut Crew, including Homo, even though Homo was still behind bars back then. The suspected shooter, Rummel Davis, Peanut's nephew. After that, the summer turned deadly for the Peanut Crew. Damian sent his top hitter, Aaron eBay Granton, to start wiping out the crew. No warnings. The bloodshed started quick. CMB member Dwayne Thor Myers gunned down Gerard Kojak Mackins, one of Peanut's soldiers. Kojak was rumored to have supplied the gun that killed Myron Hardy. The streets were spilling over. Then came June 10th, 2000. Just after 2 a.m., Homo was lured to a Brooklyn corner, Quincy Street and Marcy Avenue, by a woman. As he waited in his car, eBay crept up and shot him in the back of the head, ending Homo's short-lived return to the block. Tyson, still ride or die for his boy, paid for the whole funeral. Meanwhile, Supreme McGriff's empire was collapsing fast. The feds were on him heavy. He got slapped with charges for drug trafficking, racketeering, and murder. They had a hitman's testimony, text messages, even video footage, all proving Supreme was hiring killers for $50,000 a hit. It was a wrap. His assets, all seized. It got so bad, he had to rely on a court-appointed lawyer. On April 9th, 2007, Supreme got hit with life in federal prison. No parole, no escape. As for 50 Cent, his time was finally coming. In 2002, Eminem got his hands on 50's underground mixtape, Guess Who's Back, through his lawyer, who had ties to M's manager, Paul Rosenberg. Once M heard it, he was blown away. He flew 50 out to LA to meet Dr. Dre. And just like that, the next chapter was locked in. 50 locked in $1 million deal, dropped the No Mercy, No Fear mixtape, and followed up with Wanksta, which blew up even bigger after landing on the 8 Mile soundtrack. His rise was moving fast, like rocket speed. Then came February 2003. Get Rich or Die Tryin' dropped and changed the game forever. It debuted #1 on the Billboard 200, selling a massive 872,000 copies in just 4 days. The lead single in Die Club, it smashed records. Most radio spins in a week, ever. 50 wasn't just hot. He was running the whole rap game. But just when one battle cooled off, a new one was about to pop off. This time, with The Game. Dr. Dre had brought Game into G Unit to give the crew that West Coast firepower. On paper, it made sense. In the streets, not so much. The issue? The Game's manager was Jimmy Henchman. And from the start, Henchman had a serious issue with 50, as 50's fame shot through the roof, Henchman was in Game's ear, planting seeds, turning him against 50. In an interview, Henchman even admitted he had a plan to make the Game surpass 50 in fame by February 2005. By then, the tension boiled over. The Game, fully under Henchman's wing, declared war on G-Unit, even throwing shots during his set at Summer Jam. 50 kept quiet at first, but everyone could feel the heat. Then, October 1st, 2005 hit, and G-Unit Radio Part 14, Back to Business, dropped. On the track, Emotional, 50 finally clapped back, straight up calling out Game and dragging Henchmen for pulling the strings. That diss opened the floodgates. What followed was a non-stop war of mixtapes and diss tracks, with the Game coming at 50 all through 2005 and 2006. But by 2007, things got way too real. In March, Jimmy Henchman's 14-year-old son was walking into his dad's office building when Tony Yayo and G-Unit affiliate Lottie Mac pulled up. Allegedly, Yayo slapped the kid and Lodi flashed a gun. The charges against Tony Yayo were eventually dropped, but Lodi Mac stepped up and took the fall, saying he was the one who slapped Henchman's son. That loyalty cost him. He got hit with a 2-year prison sentence, but just weeks after getting out, Lodi Mac was gunned down in New York. This wasn't no random street hit. Jimmy Henchman had put a price on his head, and that move kicked off a full-on war. Henchman came for 50, and Yayo with movie-level drama. His first attempt on 50, straight out of a script. He was speeding down Manhattan's West Side Highway, heat in hand, planning to shoot up 50's building. But just as he was about to make his move, he spotted cops trailing him and had to fall back. But that didn't stop him. He doubled down. Henchman plotted to blow up 50's bulletproof van, figuring an explosion was the only way to take him out for good. Then he turned the heat up on Tony Yayo too. First, he arranged a drive-by at Yayo's mom's house, using a silenced pistol, cold, quiet, and calculated. It was a clear message. Nowhere was safe. Then he spotted Yayo's Bentley parked up and let loose, riddling it with bullets. The wild twist? Yayo was sitting in a bulletproof van parked right behind the Bentley. He walked away without a scratch. At this point, 50 wasn't playing defense anymore. He was done watching from the sidelines. He flipped the script. No more waiting for henchmen to strike. Instead, he took the fight straight to the source. Word got out that some of Henchman's crew were posted up in Atlanta. So 50 tracked down one of their addresses, pulled up, and made it crystal clear. He wasn't the one to mess with. Then the threats started flying. Just to make things crystal clear, 50's crew left a dead rat on somebody's doorstep. A bold message that things were about to get real. And knowing 50, he didn't just keep it in the streets, he aired it all out in the music too. On Get the Message from the War Angel LP, he called out Supreme and Jimmy Henchman by name, letting the world know exactly where he stood. But in the end, karma came knocking hard for Jimmy Henchman. After years of power moves, street games, and dodging the system, the law finally caught up. He got slapped with charges for drug trafficking, money laundering, witness tampering, and even murder for hire, all tied to Lodi Mac's death. And on November 29th, 2017, it was over. Jimmy Henchman was convicted and sentenced to 2 life sentences. No outs, no deals, no future. Meanwhile, 50 walked away untouched, more powerful than ever. While his enemies either got locked up or taken out, 50 kept leveling up, flipping his street legend into a full-blown global empire. Over 30 million albums sold, a Grammy, an Emmy, and stacks of Billboard, BET, American Music, and World Music Awards. From surviving 9 shots to owning the rap game, 50 Cent didn't just make it, he conquered it. If you thought this story was wild, trust me, we're just getting started. So make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe for more jaw-dropping stories just like this one. See you in the next one. It's about to get even crazier.